Okay, so let's talk about the Gen Z stare, because everyone's talking about it without me, and as like the token TikTok generation girl, I must comment. But I'm not going to talk about only the Gen Z stare, because we can't talk about the Gen Z stare without also talking about the millennial pause and the boomer bark and the Gen X shrug. Because truth be told, these are all just the same things manifested in different generations. They're different waving flags, like sirens of the same social failure, right? So like the Gen Zers are defending themselves because they're saying, well, it's trauma and we don't know you anything. And to be fair, it is. It is 1000% trauma on their end. They've grown up in chaos and school shootings and whatever. So they kind of like dissociate when it comes to like analog, in-person conversations. They don't know how to do it because the years that they would have developed those skills, COVID, lockdown, right? And even still before COVID, they're in schools where like their primary like source of interaction with their academics is computer based, right? So they're not really good with human interaction because they've only really been taught to function digitally, right? So the Gen Z stare is basically them pausing to figure out how to react in the world, which means that the millennial pause is the same thing. So like when millennials have to pause for a minute before they respond or before they start recording a video, that is millennial trauma manifesting as, give me a second to put on the mask I have to wear for the world to pretend everything's okay, even though everything's a disaster. So millennials pause, mask, and present. Gen Z stare, because they don't know how to pause and present. They were never given those skills or hit a level of trauma such that they don't even have the energy to fake it anymore. The Gen X version of this is sort of that passive aggressive shrug. So let's do the same scenario, right? A Gen X walks into a restaurant, talks to the hostess, makes a funny joke that's only funny to them, barely acknowledges them, shuffles off. Like they interact, yeah, but it's like they don't really care who you are and they didn't listen to you. Whereas boomers are the same. They walk in, they don't hear whether you talk to them. Sometimes they don't wait for you to talk to them. They just start barking their demands at you and expect to be taken seriously, right? So boomers come in barking demands. Gen X come in and half listen to you, shrug, do their own thing. The apathy kind of comes through. Millennials pause, put on a happy face, and act super good. And Gen Z stares. They stare because it's probably all they have the energy left to do anymore. So this is just social trauma manifesting in 4 different flavors, and we all do it. And to be fair, like Gen Z's reaction to it is also kind of telling. Like, how traumatized are these kids? So traumatized that they can't even take a joke when one's thrown back at them. Which is a very similar trait to boomers. Remember how I said way in the long ago, my biggest fear about Gen Z was that they had all of the makings of becoming the next boomers. And they do, very much, and it's happening now because they lack the social abilities to interact with people, they also lack the social abilities to like be resilient and bounce back from things, which means criticism is hard for them. Poking fun is hard at them. They don't have those skills. And they're very, very afraid of being judged. Like the reason they come after millennials for being cringe is because cringiness is terrifying to them because they're so terrified of being judged by the world for how they act or how they behaved or what they do or doing something stupid that they stand paralyzed, afraid to do anything because that is safer to them than doing something that people might laugh at. I see it in my classroom all the time. I feel like I'm talking to drying paint most of the time, and it's absolutely brutal. It's soul-sucking. Like this year was terrible because I would present something to the class and I would just get 34 kids staring at me like I wouldn't even know if they heard me. I would make jokes about it. Like they were terrified of me, but they weren't really terrified of me. They're terrified of the world in general. They would rather be silent than be wrong. They would rather be a stone face than be laughed at because they don't have the skills or ability to take criticism, to bounce back from criticism, to interact with people they don't know, to take risks. It's why they can't like function at tasks. Like I've seen videos where people coming like they just stand there. They can't problem solve. They can't solution. Because they're scared if they make the wrong decision that something bad will happen. Like all they have ever seen in their life is trauma and chaos. Like the world leaders they are looking to flip on a dime and end people's careers because they said something that the president didn't like. This is the world they've grown up in. Of course they're afraid to talk to you because they've seen talking ruin people's lives.